what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Have you been to Cranford Brothers Barbecue yet? Every day, Cranford Brothers Barbecue serves the best smoked meats, sides, sandwiches, and craft beer, all produced on site in downtown Hickory, North Carolina. Visit Cranford Brothers Barbecue today for lunch or dinner and find out everything that's happening at the historic Old Pawn Shop. That's the home of Cranford Brothers Barbecue, City Walk Brewing Company, and the great new breakfast spot, Main Chick Jam and Biscuits. Be sure to call Cranford Brothers Barbecue to cater your next game day get-together or special event. Your guests will always remember the best barbecue bites they get from Cranford Brothers Barbecue. Visit CranfordBros.com to learn more or plan your visit today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Low and Slow Barbecue Show spends a lot of time talking about Carolina barbecue. But truth be told, most of the time, we're talking about North Carolina barbecue. Not today. Today, our spotlight on the pit masters of the Carolina Barbecue Festival takes us to Florence, South Carolina, where a new barbecue fire is burning for somebody who's kind of an old barbecue hat, somebody who made a significant mark in North Carolina. Of course, people around Asheville, and myself included, still miss Buxton Hall. And with that said, you got to know who we're talking about. Our guest today is Elliott Moss. We're very excited to welcome you to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Elliott, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Elliott is one of more than a dozen pit masters who are participating in this year's Carolina Barbecue Festival. It's coming up Charlotte, April 4th and 5th. You can meet many of those pit masters at our website, lowslowbbqshow.com. Just click on the episode link. You'll see Eric Pickle from Smoke Pickle, Matthew Register from Southern Smoke, Michael Latchworth from Sam Jones Barbecue. And all those folks are advancing Carolina barbecue traditions in their own communities, just like our guest today, Elliott Moss. So, Elliott, let's start with the most basic thing. Elliott's Florence, your new project. Tell me all about it. What is Elliott's?
Elliott's is a lot of things, really. I moved to Florence. Started this project February of last year. We were supposed to talk on the phone or in this project last year. We had some delays and wasn't quite ready to talk about it, but I've been working on this project for about a year. I got the opportunity to move back home. I'm from Florence. I lived here for 20 years and moved away, and I've been gone for 25 years and came back this past May. Me and my wife moved here. I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to partner up with the group, and we have purchased Seminar Brewing from the previous owners. It's Florence, the PD area's biggest and oldest brewery. It's in an old pecan factory that my actually first job ever was picking up pecans in my yard and selling them to Young's Pecans by the bag. That was how I got my allowance money when I was single digits. But yeah, it's kind of full circle. My grandfather had a lubricant store business right down the street. Grew up on this road. So to come back is kind of full circle. The brewery part of it was definitely appealing. It had a restaurant attached to it, and over the course of almost a year, we've been slowly renovating the space, the brewery side and the restaurant side, and we're opening kind of a new concept here in the space called Elliott's. And it's definitely a barbecue joint with my namesake. So I got a lot to, definitely a nervous part of my life. I'm very excited and ready to just, get back into the barbecue scene and the business and do what, this area, Florence, the PD is whole hog barbecue. That's what we do here. That's why I started doing Buxton, doing whole hog up there, is because I was inspired that here as a kid, and barbecue to me is whole hog, and that's what barbecue is to most folks down here. There is some brisket and some other things, but whole hog barbecue is what comes to people's mind when you say the word barbecue down here. And I'm building a 23-foot long whole hog barbecue pit. It's right out these doors, and it's getting real close to being completed. just got some colored lights, give it a little mood light. You can see it from the parking lot. You can walk up. You'll be able to walk through it, get your hands even on the pig if you wanted to. It's right outside. Didn't have a proper smokehouse at Buxton. We were always scared of catching the building on fire, and what we could do was very limited. And I have kind of unlimited space here to grow. And I'm going to do a little more than just barbecue, but it is a barbecue joint. We've got smokers and whole hog pits that we can cook all kinds of things on. And it being attached to the brewery, being able to use the brewery side of the space and cooking and sauces and just events that we could do for brewery and barbecue related. Got lots of things in the plans, but whole hog will be up front like it was at Buxton.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So I've been watching on the Instagram, both through your personal page and Elliott's Florence and a little bit on Seminar Brewing. And I see the food coming out and I see the brewing. So maybe catch us up. How is progress on the renovations going? And when do you feel like you'll be full steam open? I know that food's already getting served. So I feel like you're already it's already a thing, but when do you feel like you're going to have sort of work finished and ready to sort of grand open, I guess, Elliott's Florence?
Yeah, well, we've had a couple dates along the course of time, and things keep holding us up. But we're pretty set on a March grand opening, hopefully first part of March, and that's a pretty. I think even if we're waiting on a few things, we're still going to go ahead and launch Elliott's that month, and maybe a few little final touches will come afterwards, but we'll be serving barbecue. Hopefully, if all things go to plan, March is our date, and we have been kind of open during renovations. I was, I was given a kitchen with a menu and a staff, and I didn't want to disrupt any of that too early because we aren't allowed to really cook the barbecue until we get the smokehouse by the health department. So I didn't want to invest too heavy in doing barbecue here and then us say, oh, you can't do that. And then we got to wait 6 months, and then just been kind of waiting on the barbecue pit, and it's getting real close. The menu that we do serve at Seminar will change drastically. We are going to kind of put that menu to sleep, and we'll have some of the favorites that our locals and regulars come for, at least on a hey, secret menu that maybe not everybody knows about. But we're going to focus pretty heavy on the barbecue side of things, at least to start and get our footing under us. And we're real close to I-95, so we anticipate, NASCAR Darlington 500 is like 2 miles down the road. So we have potential to do some pretty high volume, and we just want to be ready for that and not try and make it too fussy at the start.
Yeah. Well, so once you do get it open, what are you hoping that someone experiences when they come to see you in Florence?
A very unique, one of a kind experience. I think, I'm definitely thinking about other barbecue joints out there. Maybe they are some like this one, but I think we're pretty unique with the brewery attached to it. And we've got a really nice beer garden outside. We're going to have a really nice covered patio. We've got a small little arcade game room with 4 pool tables, eight pinball machines, NASCAR sit down racing game, one of the claw machines. We got a little bit of something for everybody. I got a little record store in here. I'm selling some records, and we've got a full bar. Hold on. Yeah.
Work calls for Elliott Moss there from Elliott's Florence. Again, he's one of the pit masters at the Carolina Barbecue Festival coming up April 4th and 5th at Victoria Yards in Charlotte. Those tickets are on sale right now, carolinabbqfest.org. You can go there, get your tickets, see Elliott at the festival. And Elliott, sorry to interrupt you there. I know you got interrupted, but I want to kind of take you back just a little bit and get your start. How did you get started into smoking meat low and slow? Take us down that road a little ways.
Well, my father was a welder. His father was a welder, and his brother, and I grew up in that business.
A lot of fire.
Yeah, and we as a family had smokers that they built out of propane tanks. Those were my earliest memories of food as a kid. Was Christmas Eve cooking hogs, Thanksgiving cooking hogs. Talking about real little, um, and that's kind of always been stuck in my head. And when I got into cooking for a living, I was more on the fine dining side of things. After my stint at Chick-fil-A for 8 years, but I just had a I heard too many times in Asheville, like, where do we eat the barbecue at? They had heard of North Carolina barbecue, big touristy town. Everyone's there looking for North Carolina barbecue. And I'm like, y'all
Hmm.
are on the wrong side of the state. Um, and not until I lived in Asheville for so long that I realized that there wasn't a lot of barbecue out there, and I missed it. And I heard that question, how many, uh, where do we eat barbecue? And I thought that I could give them a product that, was a little special and different, and that's what we did with Buxton. And I gave it a go and felt like we did a pretty good job over there. And somehow that's given me an opportunity to kind of start all over and do it again here in Florence.
Yeah. So, from that time that you got your start there in Buxton Hall and kind of filling a need in the Asheville community for barbecue to what Elliott is doing now in Florence, there's been some time that's passed, almost 20 years, if I had to guess, there, give or take a year or two. How do you feel like you've evolved as a pit master, as a barbecue provider during all that time?
Yeah, I was doing it just as fun and as a hobby and as a little small catering side hustle maybe here and there. And then Buxton opened, and it was my full time, maybe two full time jobs for 8 years, and it just felt like life. That's what my life is. And then that stopped happening kind of abruptly, and yeah, I left Buxton in July of 20 no June of 22. So it's been 2.5 years. I've had some projects here and there, and I haven't like fully cooked barbecue for 2.5 years. So I'm excited that I have had some time to kind of sit back and reflect, and definitely observe is a good one. I've had a lot of time to watch all my friends cook barbecue every day and see what they're doing. And I feel like that's just made me more hungry to do it. And I'm excited to be back in the mix, and I'm really excited to be back home and being able to give a product to where I grew up, to people that inspired me. And yeah, it's a super exciting time, and I'm excited to get back in it.
Yeah,
And
very cool, and coming full circle in a place where you got your start as a youngster collecting pecans, bringing them in there, and now you're at a different place, as a barbecue expert. I want to take you down a little bit of a different path here as Elliott. I know you're kind of a Renaissance man. You're involved in a lot of different things, but one of the things that I've seen you doing, and during this break, I guess that you could call it, over the last couple of years, is what you've done with velvet moss welding. And now that you kind of explained that your dad and your grandparents, and you come from generations of welders, it makes sense. But tell me a little bit about what you've done with the welding, and in particular your Priscilla project. That's something really unique that I want to hear about.
oh well, yeah, that started. I used to have a Lodge cast iron grill, um, and I had it on Instagram a lot, just cooking personally at my house, and everyone kind of back to that. I heard it so many times, people asking me where I got this little Lodge grill from or what it was, and Lodge ended up discontinuing that grill, and they don't make it anymore. And then I had a couple of them just because I liked them as a tool, and I've had an idea about making one for a long time, and then I got involved with some Japanese style yakitori grills. They're typically made out of like fire brick and a little bit of thin sheet aluminum, and they don't really hold up very well. But they're also nice little personal. I don't have kids, so I'm always cooking for me and my wife, and I don't need a huge giant grill. A little small one is just fine for some applications. I get to use big giant smokers all the time, so it's nice to work on something a little smaller. And I had an idea about making those, and me and my dad had talked about doing it for a long time. Back to my dad being a welder, and he's my dad just retired recently and sold his shop, so those plans, just kind of sat dormant for a long time. And I had a friend who's a welder, Drew Shook. He has a company called Velvet Anvil. That's kind of the velvet moss part of that name. Um, when I left Buxton, I had some free time and just trying to hustle. It's like, yeah, maybe this is a good time to start these projects. So we spent some time making, little Model A, Model Bs of this grill, and we ended up making it out of stainless, um, just so it would last longer in the rain. Maybe use it on a boat or in a marine setting and leave it outside. And I'm typically pretty rough on my toys, so I could see the value of having something stainless just for the longevity of it. Grills tend to rust out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I know that from experience. Yeah, it was just a side project, and we made a few of them and sold them, and then the opportunity to move back home and have this project kind of moved up the ladder of importance for just my personal existence.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner still lives in Asheville, so we've kind of put that project on hold, maybe indefinitely, while I'm just a little too stretched thin with this project, and living in Florence, which is 4.5 hours from Asheville. It's just it's something that we may revisit here in the future, but it's on a little hold right now.
Sure, sure. You can slide it off to the back burner where you got other things, priority projects on the front burner. And speaking of front burner, that takes us into the Carolina Barbecue Festival, which again is going to be coming up in April, just around the corner. So why don't you tell us how you got hooked up with Lewis Donald and the Carolina Barbecue Festival?
I first heard of him through Brian Furman. Brian Furman is a really good friend of mine, and when Brian was hustling out there in between his projects, I think he did a pop up with Donald up there in Charlotte, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's how I found out about him, and just being a small community of barbecue guys here in South and North Carolina. Charlotte is a kind of a sister city to Florence. I grew up going there a lot as a kid, and then it's not too far from Asheville either. The airport, IKEA. There's lots of reasons to take you to Charlotte. So I've always just kind of had my eye on my neighbors and seeing what they're doing, and uh, he asked me to come do the first one, and the first one was my right before my last time at Buxton, so I knew that I was probably on the way out of there when I was doing that event. So it was a little bittersweet. And then I think there's been 3 or 4 now. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember. But I've been a part of it every year, and he keeps asking me to come back. And last year I was supposed to be representing Elliott's, but we weren't quite ready to announce it yet. But this year we will be representing Elliott's, and going to do some whole hog, I would imagine.
Yeah, cool. So why do you participate? Why do you keep coming back year after year?
There's some selfish reasons. I, we're all friends, the barbecue guys cooking, we're all friends, and just nice to see everyone and
Mm-hmm.
hang out and get to feed people for good cause. And I enjoy feeding people myself. So it's like a big rush when you can feed, hundreds and hundreds of people, and see all of their expressions of being happy or full. It's just a good time. And I just like cooking hogs, out in different areas in the parking lot, overnight. And, you know, it's just a weird environment to be in. And then you get to do something that seems illegal. Having fire barrels burning and, seeing all kinds of crazy stuff happening, especially in Charlotte at 4 a.m. I think there was quite a few cops the last time that was trying to contain some mess that was going on around the way. But yeah, it's all that's fun and exciting to me. All of it. to travel. I get to experience another city, and get to meet a lot of people. It's like a little work vacation.
Yeah. So part of this year's festival is going to be the kickoff, and that's going to include sort of the building of the cinder block pits and the starting of the fire pits and those burn barrels that you talked about. I got a chance to see you guys do that last year, and kind of got to see it on the other side when you and Joel Easton were kind of pulling the hogs off the pit, so folks can be part of the building of that pit. And you've talked about building the pit at your place at Elliott's Florence, 23 feet long. I mean, that sounds like a significant pit. We've got a little bit of time remaining, but I want you to take me a little bit through how you plan to run the operation on the pits there. Are you planning 7 days? Will you be cooking every day? What sort of operations do you have in mind?
I've got things in mind. I try to go into projects and new restaurant experiences with an open mind of like, this is what I think is going to happen, but time will tell our customers, how busy or crazy it is. Like, I could say one thing and then it might change. I can say that I'm definitely going to have whole hogs on Saturdays, most likely Sundays. We may have hogs every day, but those are going to be our big barbecue days where that's just from my observations. I can see that Saturday is the day that everyone wants barbecue. And even growing up in Florence, most of the barbecue places would only be open on the weekends. We are attached to a brewery. Um, I plan on using the smoker and the pit and all of that stuff most every day. I don't know if we'll be cooking whole hogs on it every day, but we do ribs on Friday currently here, and it's turned into a pretty big night for us. And I think we will continue to do ribs on Friday night, maybe more nights, maybe every night. I think we'll be doing some half chickens, sausages. We're really close to the coast here, um, and this is a seafood eating part of the country. So I think we will do some fish, some seafood on the smoker. I've always enjoyed smoked fish. But yeah, that's kind of my rough plans. We do have the smokehouse is right here, right on the side of the restaurant. Definitely want to do some tours of it, and if you come in and we're open for service, please ask to come see it. We'd love to show it to you, and plan to have the hogs kind of out on display um, on the weekends. People get a view of us cutting them up, chopping them up. That's
Yeah, nice
some of
spectator
my
experience.
yeah. We had a little bit of that at Buxton, and that's the one thing that is different about this place is the kitchen is not open, um, where you can see it from the dining room. But I'm trying to bring some of that out into the space with Elliott's when we reopen. And the smokehouse is really really cool. I'm really excited about how it's turning out, and I had a vision for it in my head. And I was hopeful that it would they'd let us build it because the city of Asheville was very not fun to work with on any kind of smoker or fire related build. And Florence has embraced us and opened their arms to us and made it real easy, and pretty much let me do whatever I want here. I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell me a little bit of secret inside knowledge. That place has got a pecan history. How much pecan wood and pecan flavor will you be trying to inject into the barbecue? Although I know maybe that's not your traditional whole hog smoking wood.
Well, I grew up with 7, I think, pecan trees on my pecan. I call them pecans, but
That's okay.
we
Alabama's
had
pecan.
yeah, it's all good with my eyes. But we had it growing up on my property, so that would have been the wood we probably used as a kid. It is a pretty popular wood down here. A lot of the pecan trees, a lot of hurricanes come through it and tear them down. That's what happened to all the ones in my yard here in Florence, and I have been asking for pecan wood. So we have had it come through. We still have a lot of oak down here, hickory. Uh, I'm at the point now where I'm just getting whatever I can take until I can get a, you know, more consistent. Oh, this is what we need every week, and maybe I have a few guys or just a pecan guy. I'm still working on that.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so going to wrap it up here with Elliott Moss from Elliott's in Florence, one of the pit masters at the Carolina Barbecue Festival. Elliott, one last question for you. You've kind of been through some ups and downs over your career, just like a lot of folks do, but some personal challenges mixed in there. And here you are, you're back at it. You're getting ready to launch another barbecue adventure. I know it's going to be a great project. We can't wait to see it. What keeps that barbecue fire burning for you? Why do you keep doing it?
Yeah, I just love it. I can't quit. I don't know what else to do. It's always, yeah, I didn't have another option, I love it. I didn't want to quit, no failure, just, I knew I wanted to open another place, and I just tried really, really hard to make that happen. And it's taken some time, and, I worked too hard at it before just to stop and give up. I had too much left that I still wanted to do, with barbecue and in the business. So I honestly never, I didn't put a lot of thought like, oh, that was fun while it lasted, or I always knew that there would be another place.
Well, there you have it. Their lowdown from the pitmaster, Elliott Moss from Elliott's at Florence. Elliott, thank you so much for sharing some time with you. Can't wait to see you in Charlotte.
Yeah, likewise. And thanks for chatting with me, and sorry it took so long.
Hey, no worries at all. Everybody out there, you've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. If you like what you hear, just give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream and share our podcast with your friends. Be sure to visit us at lowslowbbqshow.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter. We'll send you a new podcast right to your inbox. Thanks to our production team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts, especially Andrew Moose, the man behind the monitors. Thanks again to our guest today, Elliott Moss from Elliott's Florence. Most especially, thank you for listening. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, keep it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.